everybody. This is part 2 of the Lovecraft Country episode. As you know, the last episode went a little long, so we split it up. So we're just going to get right into it where we left off and enjoy the show. Peace.
We kind of touched upon a lot of these two things, which is like, what is your favorite episode? And the other question I asked is, what is your favorite moment? I'm kind of just throwing both those out there because I feel like one will lead into the other. Mm-hmm. And if y'all don't mind, I'm going to jump in because when I was thinking of this question, it was like, after I finished episode 7, which was the Hippolyta I Am episode, there was like no ifs, ands, or buts. I was like, oh, this is my favorite episode. Until I saw episode 8, which was like the Jigaboo episode when he was running from them twin demonic sisters, which was like, if y'all ever saw It Follows, that's It Follows. Like it was like the It Follows, but the black Jigaboo episode. Like, bro, that I love. That's one of my favorite episodes in television. Like it started off with what Emmett Till.
Yeah.
It started off with Emmett Till and ended up with like her fighting some demonic girls. Like that episode was so good and so compelling. So needless to say, I mean, like, yeah, the fact she spit at a black cop. I mean, she spit at a white cop. She's like, what, 12, 13? That's the boldest thing I ever seen somebody do.
Hey, dog, Nels, with all due respect, if you got two like Raggedy Ann minstrel show clown girls chasing you, you ain't scared of shit. Yeah. like
you have yet to say a lie. It is absolutely true. At that point, I ain't really scared of white people right now.
Yeah. Especially then, she's like, you cursed me anyway. What you gonna do? Curse me again? Now it's gonna be 3 of them chasing me? Whatever. Fine, whatever. I don't care.
Man, so yeah, that was my favorite episode. I loved when she like became a G about it. And part of why that was my favorite, because like one of my favorite moments in the series was in that episode when she decided she had enough and she was gonna fight back. She got on the bike and started riding, and she like rode past one of like the demon creatures. But the audio that was in the back was from a speech from a young sister from Alexandria, Virginia, all about like the stories of little black girls that like are unheard. And like, it is a dope speech.
I'm here today to acknowledge and represent the African American girls whose stories don't make the front page of every national newspaper. Whose stories don't lead on the evening news. I represent the African American women who are victims of gun violence, who are simply statistics instead of vibrant, beautiful girls that full of potential.
Probably the best speech out of that entire like convention, and they put it in the show, and so like it was like a call to action and a rise to power. And she did it in the show. It was like fire. So like I really dug it, man. It was such a dope episode. But yeah, that was mine.
Hey, Nels, real quick, I want to get on what you said. That's one calling of the show. Like every episode I think it's every episode has like these kind of like speeches or monologues from like famous black speeches that can tie in. Well, not even speech, because I forgot what episode, but they did Whitey's on the Moon. I forgot what episode that was, and it worked so well. Like I think when the Emmett Till funeral was going on, they were playing I think it's Cruel Summer. You know, so there's a lot of that in the show, and it works so well.
Yeah, even like with a cover, because I keep thinking of Center Man, like. Center Man, like, you know, it would play, it was by Nina Simone, but the cover was done by, I forget the singer's name, but Center Man played basically at the end of every episode up until maybe episode like 7 or 8, you know, something like that. And, you know, so even that just seems like a mix of times, because I'm like, I think Center Man, in terms of when it was made, fit well, not exactly fit with the story, because the story was more so like with like 50s and things, but I mean, like Center Man would have been closer around that time with Nina Simone, a little closer. But then, to have a cover, which makes it even more modern, because this singer is, more of a modern singer than Nina Simone. So yeah, like yeah, the music was great. To, like you were saying, throwing in the well, there were some that I think fit the time, some that was, like you were saying, beyond the time, more into the future. Because there was another one I can't remember. I'm not gonna do it any justice, but it put me in the mind of like a Cardi B song or something like that. Like, I don't think it was Cardi B, but it was legit like like one of the women were it might have been Ruby at that point, but like was walking.
No, that was Cardi B. It was Money.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. How how that fit in? I was like, yo, this is dope. So definitely, I'm looking for the soundtrack. Like, put all the songs in there. The stuff from like the 50s, the modern day. Put it all in there.
It wasn't funny, but I had a kind of flashback to Harry Potter when Tick realized he was the one who saved them, and you know when what is it, Prisoner Azkaban? he's like, what's happening? My dad's gonna come up and save everybody, and then like Tick realized he was the guy. I'm like, it's just like Harry Potter, but dog, like, and like, I know you'd appreciate that now.
Harry, listen to me. No one's coming.
Don't worry, he will. He will come.
You're dying. Both of you. Harry!
Expecto Patronum!
That moment, dog, because like Tick let them dudes have it. He gave. They didn't want that smoke. They got it.
And the little girl. There was a little girl involved too, right?
Yeah.
He definitely hit her in the stomach with a baseball bat. I was like, bro.
You know what? Tick the gentleman, because he hit her. He looked at her. And he was like, he could have hit her again. He was like, I'm gonna leave you alone. But I hope you learned your lesson.
Hey, he definitely gutted her, and he's like, all right, you better go home now. But dog, like that whole episode where you basically, it was almost like a Montrose flashback, and like Nils, you're talking about the patriarchy, and just Montrose is like he is a textbook start to finish example of what toxic masculinity could do to an individual and do to a family. Like the fact that when they get there and his dad's beating them and they're watching them, and then Letty and Tick are kind of like, damn, like what the hell? And like Montra's like, yeah, but I deserved it. You know what I'm saying? He can't even like realize like the abuse he was getting. And then when both actors, dog, the moment where Montrose goes back to save the dude who was like his boyfriend, and Tick has to like stop him, and he's like begging him not to do it, and just that whole back and forth, like that was like all the acting. Like them two brothers can grown men cry like no one else can grown men cry, dog. What's homeboy who played?
You forgot you were watching the show. Like how? Like I can't imagine like they were acting like it seems so genuine. Like I feel like we were like just like hiding behind a building, watching like folks actually talk and like feel the way that they were feeling. So yeah, I mean we all know Michael K. Williams can act, but like I didn't know his range was like that. But like, who is Jonathan Majors? Like this dude, like I'm like, yo, you are an amazing actor, yo. Like, wow. Anyways,
and in that moment, you can see like Tick realizing he gets it. He like, and it kind of breaks his heart. He's like, man, this is why you are the way you are, and this is why you treated me the way you did. And it's not an excuse, but it's not your fault either, you know? Because dog, even from jump, you know, when Hippolyta comes out with her superpowers, like, I'm a motherboard, go through the portal. And like Tick and Letty, like, all right, let's go. And like it takes Montrose like a good 30 seconds to muster up the courage to to jump through, you know. And dog, it's crazy that we saw, you know, in Watchmen, they addressed this thing, but you know, I just realized also, I think we're coming up to the 100th year anniversary of the massacre.
Yeah.
Next year.
2021.
What, next year, 2021.
Yeah. But it just, the world Montrose came from, what he survived, it's such good storytelling. It's such good acting, good storytelling. Like in that moment, I believe that they were father and son. And I believe that the history they shared, like it made sense. So that I'm gonna say that's probably my favorite episode. But there's one moment in the episode, and then Nelson, I'm gonna give it to you, that I'd actively yelled, "Oh God, no!" when Ruby's episode, where she gives it to her.
Oh God, yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Bro.
I was like, not the shoe.
Oh yeah.
So I've only done that to one other movie. It's the movie with the blind dude and they break into his house. What's that movie called now? Don't Breathe. Have you seen that movie, Shannon?
Nah, I know what you're talking about, but nah, I hadn't seen it.
Yeah, well, I won't spoil Don't Breathe for the audience, but there is a scene with a turkey baster. And I'll leave it at that. And I had the same exact reaction that I did to Ruby's scene. Man, I was like, oh, I'm surprised I didn't wake up my family. I was like, oh God, no.
Yeah, that was wow. No, and I'll say, even as much as I love the Hippolyta episode, and I think for me it was really more so just her character. So really for me, the same episode. So you know, with the rewind. And I loved it because of one, like the historical significance. Like I'm always like, if you, especially the way that they did it, if you can tie in like this historical thing that happened into like this great story, you know, that does it for me. But no, I love that episode for so many of the reasons that we, you know, have already mentioned. Montrose, I mean, when you think about it, he probably has the most pain of anybody because, you know, as we were saying, he could never be himself. He was never safe. Like one, as a Black person, you know, you weren't safe and like just being out because of, you know, racist white people. So you weren't safe there. And then you're like, okay, you're safe in your community. You're not safe in your community under your own roof because, you know, because of your sexual orientation. So then you're pretending to be somebody who you're not. Violence is being inflicted upon you because they want to, quote unquote, you know, make sure you're a man. And then all you do is you end up dishing out that same violence. Mm-hmm. You're hurting the next generation. So I'm just like, man, like that, you know, all of that for him, you know, that development for him. And like some of the other scenes, like I love just I think the bravery of their family, like I'm not sure. Would she have been the great grandma or something like that? When
that was Tix. Are you talking about where Letty's with the woman upstairs at the end?
Yeah.
That would have been, that was Tix's grandma, right?
Yeah, just grandma. Okay, yeah, maybe just
or
his
great grandma. I think it would have been his
great grandma.
Okay, great grandma. Yeah. But yeah, like the bravery of her and that family where you know, they're like, okay, yeah, we're gonna fight back, we're gonna, you know, this and that. And then just how, you know, it got to the point she said when she started putting everything together, she was like, we're not gonna make it out here, are we?
Mm-hmm.
I know, like she was like, I can tell you're not from here. Like she was like, you know, your shoes gave you away.
Yeah, the shoes,
them Skechers. What are those? You don't have those yet. but yeah, like that bravery and then finally really putting everything together, and then also being like, this is bigger than me, and like this is gonna help us, our family live on, but also basically like the world and our people live on. So I'm trusting you with this. But once again, just that scene of really being like, she's like, yeah, we're not gonna make it, are we? Okay. And still gonna fight though,
There's something she says to Letty. I forgot exactly how it goes, but it's in the line of like,
my great grandson will be my faith turned flesh.
Yes, dude. Like I was like, dang, man, this show, man.
Yeah, that was a line, man. That might be the best line in the show.
Another thing that I found out, man, because I went down the rabbit hole of history, dog. The massacre, and it says a lot about Montrose. The massacre happened on prom night.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine that? Could you imagine getting ready for your prom, your senior prom, and then like just a massacre? And one thing that I'm gonna take it back to privilege, and this happened over 100 years ago, but like in recent history, it's coming to light because it was kept under wraps. It was kept under wraps, and I dare someone to say otherwise. Y'all know for a fact if this was a white community attacked by anyone else, it would be treated like the Alamo. It would be learned in history. It'd be, there'd be a memorial site. There'd be all kinds of stuff. But because of who it was done to, it is business as usual in America.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned a couple of times on the podcast that I lived in Tulsa for a year, and it was very weird coming to a place and being like, yo, I expect to like learn a whole, like part of my motivation going there was to learn about the race riot, and it's not talked about. Like an outsider, like me being an outsider, I felt like I knew more about what happened in 1921 than like the general public. And while people don't talk about it, you can feel it. Like it is culturally still permanent in Tulsa. There are Black folks in Tulsa. There's a significant Black population in Tulsa, but they do not leave North Tulsa. Like if they leave North Tulsa, it is to work, and then they are back home before the sun comes down. Like it is just like, and you won't find Black folks not in North Tulsa. Like they just stay there, and it's not like they hang out. Like they're just at the crib. Like it is a weird feeling. It is just like a weird thing in Tulsa, and like thank goodness it's continuing to get shed to light. I remember in the time that I was in Tulsa, there was like it was primetime news that like a history teacher decided to talk about the massacre. And like, I was like, why is this news? And the reason it was news is because it wasn't part of the standard curriculum in Tulsa to talk about the massacre. So this teacher went out her way to do an additional lesson for her students because she was like, and mind you, she's not from Oklahoma. She was like, I cannot understand why we're not talking about this significant event that all my students know about, but don't talk about it because no one else is talking to them about it. So like I decided that I'm going to talk to them about it. And yeah, it was controversial, believe it or not. So yeah, man, it's crazy.
It's amazing, man, because, people always want to be like, oh, that was so long ago. Oh, why y'all? It was so long ago. Just pick up your bootstraps. Bro, could you imagine if something like this happened to New York, Wall Street, back in the 20s, or someone ran up in New York and did a massacre back towards the Industrial Revolution? It would set things back so far. It would set this country back so far. You had 11,000 people living on Black Wall Street, and 300 were killed, I think, and then 9,000 never came back. They left. Like, come on, like it don't take a genius to like see what that affects. You know what I'm saying? But
I mean, like, just think about it like this. Look at Katrina and like what it did to New Orleans. Except that was while, the levees did break. So like there were some human things in that. Like that was an act of God. Tulsa was not an act of God. but like it left the same level of like massacre and disdain into like a very wealthy, prominent city. Like Tulsa in itself was a city, but like the money and like the all the cultural aspects of the city was Greenwood. Like Greenwood was like the real city, and then like it just so happened to like be in Tulsa. So when we're talking about like New York City, you know, like the boroughs are like where people live, and like, you know, Brooklyn's kind of growing up now, but like the business aspect was Manhattan. Well, Greenwood was like Manhattan and Brooklyn in one. And that's what got tarnished. And now all of a sudden it's kind of like, oh, we're just gonna sweep that to the side because it was the black city. So, but anyway, Shannon, you're gonna talk my fault.
No, I was thinking of that, and yeah, the horrible fact that it happened. And as we talk about generational things, just how that has, you know, just played such a role for generations to come after. Because, you know, one, yeah, you have, you like, you know, there's a tension in that city where it's like people, they know this happened, but one, a lot of knowledge has been hidden from them, so they don't get to talk about it, or it's not taught about. And then I just think about literally the economic level, you know, yeah, what that has done to the black community there, because one, many, you know, many left. And it's just like, you know, as hard as things were that time, if it was like, yo, like, okay, I finally, you know, did the thing. I started my own company. I put up the capital to do this thing, and to have all of that just wiped away. And, you know, there wasn't, you know, there wasn't riot or racist white person insurance back then, you know, you know, not like there is now, you know.
You want the racist right insurance? Well, that's going to cost you, buddy.
Yeah.
That's
you know,
a
so
good
like,
idea. That might need to be a side business. Maybe for another day we can talk about that. Racist white people insurance. That's Shannon, we might need to edit this out of the podcast.
Yeah, so nobody can take our idea.
Oh, I'm sorry. You check bigot.
We see he was more of a racist instead.
Yeah,
so
we don't cover Klan rallies. You check bigot. I'm sorry. Like,
but yeah, you know, and so yeah, so just to see that all of that gone in that sense, because and you know, like how things go, it's generally like, okay, well, you got moved out, your stuff got destroyed, and someone else comes in, you know, like especially during that time, like it would have been some of the racist white people who did the destroying, are like, well, look at this, some land here. I guess I'll go ahead and start my own, you know, business like I've always been wanting to, and you know, just like it's gone.
What do y'all think about? I think it's an important episode. I don't think we need to talk about it too much, but Tick's episode that shows his what he did in the Korean War. What did y'all think about that episode?
Oh, the succubus.
Yeah, the nine-tailed fox. I was like, oh, got a little Naruto in here.
Yeah, and that's and y'all, that is gonna be probably the amount of Naruto you'll get on the Pop Cult Parent.
Yeah, no more Naruto than that.
We ain't really dive that deep into Naruto, y'all. So that might y'all got your Naruto. That was it.
Enjoy.
Yeah, enjoy.
Jutsu. Nah.
Man, that episode's so good.
Yeah,
it was so good. Like, but did y'all kind of, not to discredit this show in that episode, but when y'all saw that, weren't y'all like, man, I'm definitely seeing some similarities to Watchmen and to Lovecraft Country. Like, you know, the show starts off with like a very famous actor who's only there for like really the first episode or first two episodes. They have an Asian aspect that correlates to the war. And so like they spend like an episode or so like revisiting like that part of Asia. Tulsa. Like I was just seeing like several like correlations to like how thematically like Watchmen had like a certain cadence and things, and I saw that in Lovecraft Country.
Well, a couple things. I don't know if it's I don't know if it's an HBO thing, because I think HBO, all their shows kind of like fit a look and a feel. But you also, I don't know if is anything to it, but JJ is a producer of this show, and one of the other main writers, I think creators of Lost, he was the head guy on Watchmen. I don't know if that's a reason, but there's your 6 degrees of separation for that. You know what I mean? But yeah, I think HBO just has like a feel and look that because you watch like some of HBO's comedies, they all kind of got the same feel. They all kind of, most of them take place in New York City. You know, they all got a kind of the same feel. And I think it's just what they're looking for in their programming.
But yeah, that episode was fire, and that was an adorable love story until some wool stuff came out of her eyes and started sucking the life sources out of all those men.
I think that episode is interesting because, like, dog, Tick committed war crimes.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
and I think it says something that, like, I think this show, a big thing of this show is like, you can do bad stuff in your life. That doesn't mean you are a bad person. You know.
Yeah.
What he did is unforgivable, but like, I don't think anyone who watches this show would consider Tick a evil person either, you know. So nah, man, just I want more of this, man. I didn't realize. I just appreciate this, man. What I'm trying to say is, Black people, we don't get to do this. We don't get to be in these type of stories. And Shannon, like you said, like how everyone committed, everyone in the show committed to the magic, everyone committed to the monsters. Black people don't get to be in stories like that. You know, we don't get to be in the we don't get to have the Harry Potters be about us, or we don't get to have the, you know, the Flash Gordon type stories be about us. You never see it. You just never see it. And so I think that we're getting it. It's long overdue, but yeah, man, I really hope this isn't the end of Lovecraft Country. I really I don't know. I haven't read the book. I bought the audiobook after episode 1. So I'm ready to listen to it. But I hope this isn't the end. And then, have y'all read any H.P. Lovecraft?
I'm sure I have indirectly, because it's H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
I didn't realize the brother was racist, but like, just like all those other really weird writers, kind of
racist.
Yeah. I think, what's his name? Brother that wrote not brother, but dude that wrote the Jungle Book. I'm pretty sure he was racist. What is his name?
Rudyard Kipling?
Yeah. And then there's someone else who their past is questionable. I think the dude who wrote Ender's Game. I read the controversy around him, but there's some controversy around him. But yeah, I haven't read any Lovecraft. I know of him. I know of, like, just because of pop culture, Cthulhu is like always mentioned and stuff. And then the word Lovecraftian comes up in a lot of conversations I hear. I guess his influence on horror and stuff like that is big. But yeah, this show just has so many dynamics, man. And like I said, I hope this isn't the end. If it is, like, it ended on a very cool note. It ended with a girl with a robot hand. Steampunk robot hand. It don't get much cooler than that.
She was like, yo, they never learned, and proceeded to choke her. Like, you leaving these white people alive? What's wrong with y'all?
Yeah. Just did it. Yo, so that's something that makes me think too. Like, I was I think as I was watching some of this, it made me think sometimes those random movies that we've seen, or, you know, where they do time travel and this and that, it's always like Black people aren't a big thing, is, you know, and so just with some of the stuff they did here, I'm like, yo, like, I love that, because, you know, you have some stuff like, you know, maybe Back to the Future or whatever. It's like, you go to the future and, like, yeah, there are some Black people, but it seems like things are still like about the same. It's like predominantly white spaces, maybe Black person here or there, or they're just not even showing us. But I really love how this is showing like things happen in the past, and even like in the future, like, you know, going into the future, like, Black people are a big thing. Like, you know, like we know magic or whatever it is, or go thousands of years into the future, like Hippolyta and whatever this thing is we're living. Like, aliens or even aliens coming down. It's like an alien is either like this weird alien thing that looks like nothing, or in some movies it's like it's still like a white person or something. And it's like, and which then it makes me think a little like Watchmen as well. How of all the things, he Dr. Manhattan chose to be a black man. So it's just like deep things of that. Like, we are, like special now, special in the future, as opposed to just this sort of side thing that still exists.
Yeah.
So that was like a pretty deep thing.
I think you bring a good point, Shannon. Like, whenever Black people are in horror or sci-fi, it always happens in white spaces.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and like Will Smith, hero of Independence Day, only brother in the movie, as far as like besides his son.
And his wife was a stripper.
You know what I'm saying? We're just not, these genres don't happen in a Black space. I think the one of the movies, it definitely predates Get Out, but attempted this, was one of my favorite movies of all time, Attack the Block.
Yeah, man.
Which to our listeners, if you haven't watched it, go watch Attack the Block. But it's a sci-fi horror movie that happens in a London ghetto, and
that's an alien, bro. Believe that.
Believe.
This I can't remember dude's real name, but it's got Finn, right? Finn is in it. John Boyega. Yeah,
that is. Look, we've all seen the Star Wars movies, but if you want to know why I ride or die for John Boyega,
Attack the Block.
Because what was his character's name?
Moses
with the sword. And there is a song, I forgot what the it was the sound that they were playing when like Moses, it's like Moses saves the day or Moses versus aliens.
It's the song so that's two songs. It's the one, Moses versus the aliens, is when he's running to the kitchen, and then Moses like saves the day is the song that they play at the end of the movie when they're getting locked up.
That joint is fire.
Yeah.
Because like I don't really just know like random sounds of music, like sounds of a movie, but like that sound, what is it called? Score. That part of the score was so good. I had to go look it up and find the name of it because I was like, man, that was intense. Yeah. So, anyways, sorry, Attack the Block. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mark. Please.
No, dog. You can, dog. If you're gonna talk about Attack the Block, feel free to interrupt. But But and one thing I think is why, as Black people, we got to start controlling our narrative. Because I'm a victim of this too, man. I as I get older, I'm like, yo, Black people, we had our spaces. Like in episode 1 or 2 of this show, they show like the Chicago Black Party, and the way the media and Hollywood portrays it, you would think like if it wasn't happening to white people, we were just in our houses chilling. And then, and then we came out to like either be oppressed or go to work. You know what I'm saying? And like the fact that like George and Hippolyta's business, shows that like Black people were like living. We were, even though in all this chaos, we were still going on road trips. We were still planning family vacations. We were still out there. We were still trying to run businesses. And I think movies like this or shows like this and Watchmen show that like, no, we have a history. It's not, our history isn't just oppression and slavery. It's family, lineage, and story. Yeah.
It also makes me think on a level of because of course, they're getting into like magic and spells and some things, and all of that. But it like makes me think of many of, say, the traditions and even like, say, religious aspects that existed before we were brought to America, or enslaved, and things that were stripped. Because then like before, and I will say, regardless of people's religious beliefs, I'm like, before Christianity, like there were other things that people worshipped, or ways that they exercised their religion, spirituality. But then once you came to America, it became like, if it's not like Western Christianity, like it's the devil, and you can't do that. And it's just like I even remember like growing up, there were these weird, I'm not weird, there were these different things where like we're Christian, we go to church and this and that. But I remember, so I'll tell this, we about to get deep, pop coat. So I would truly say this, like, so I remember like my dad, like he worked on cars and everything, and so I remember he was doing something under the car, something went wrong, and his like face got burned some, like he had like blisters and things. And so it's something like that was like messed up. And so there was this woman that we went to who lived like just a couple miles away. And there was this thing they would say she could, quote unquote, talk the fire out of you. And so they went to her, and she did this thing. Like I remember being a little kid. It's like, and it wasn't just like, oh, I'm praying for you. Like she did some other stuff. And after, I don't know, like a week or so, like his face was to an extent like disfigured from that. But then after a couple weeks, like his face became normal. Like and his face went back. So he had no lasting scars from whatever it was that burned him from the car. And so it was just stuff like that. Now, saying that sounds like that's some old devil work, devil worshiping stuff, but it's one of those things where for me, I'm thinking like some of those like lost traditions and just different ways of doing things and healing, other types of medicine or whatnot that existed before, even coming to the U.S. or being enslaved, brought over to the U.S. and our traditions being cut apart. So I say that because of just the importance of magic in this, maybe two different things. But in the end, they were like, the magic is ours. Like it's so we're retaining what belongs to us as opposed to it being stripped away.
Well, not to interrupt you, Shannon, but it was never theirs. They stole it in the first place and were using it. White folks were using it.
Yeah.
And so they just cut them off from something that was like never theirs, which I thought was dope.
Yes. Shannon, it's interesting. Like what you just brought up could be a whole podcast in itself. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a moment where Letty is like, yo, to get rid of this is the devil's tool, right? Mm-hmm. And Tick is like, no, this is just a tool and it's how you use it. We're going to use it to protect ours. And it's so funny that like that was Letty's attitude. And then at the end, she's speaking all kinds of...
She was going hard.
She knew better than anyone there.
Bro, she sounded like...
But she was praying at the same time. She was like, oh, Lord Jesus.
No, she's like, I
can imagine that is how Black folks would do if magic was real. They would say some incantation, Heavenly Father.
I love my people. I love my people so much, but dog, we would be so extra if magic was real. We would be so extra, dog.
Oh God. Yo, the HBCU Hogwarts would be like the worst but best thing ever at the same time. Oh my goodness.
Oh, I love it. I love it. But that's interesting, Shannon, because like, especially in the Black community though, it's like if it's not Christianity, you're dealing with the devil's tools. And Christianity like has this kind of gloss over it, like this white savior gloss, but it's like, dog, a lot of the Bible happens in Africa. And I think one of the oldest churches like Christianity was in Africa before the missionaries came.
Oh.
I saw something somewhere like one of the oldest churches on earth is in Ethiopia, one of the oldest Christian churches. So it's been there, you know what I'm saying? It's been part of our culture, but like like I said, whoever controls the narrative, it was given this glaze that it was a savior religion, and I'm not gonna act like I know from there what happened. I think I have an understanding, but what happened with like us as Black people is like if it's not in this book, it's the devil's tool, you know. And it's like,
can I just quickly add what's happening? Like I very much so think a lot of this is like Americanized, and like a lot of it is like what white folks have told Black folks, specifically Black Americans, on how they should like react to like Christianity and what is not deemed Christian. Because like a lot of the stuff that is like within the spiritual aspects is very common talk in like West Africa and other aspects of like the world. It is not deemed as anything outside of Christianity because it's just like the way the world is. And so like people will actively talk about like, Shannon, what you just described, there's probably like 2 or 3 people that like my family would know that would do that in Ghana. Like it's just like a thing, and it's not deemed like weird or different. They see it as part of like the spectrum of religion. Like it is part of Christianity. That person isn't any less of a Christian because they do that. It's just a different aspect of the religion that isn't really discussed. But then when you come here, it's like a no-no because like, not because Black folks think it's a no-no, because white folks have told Black folks that like, that is like not a part of the Christianity. So that's why like people like try to like dive into voodoo and all other aspects that like have lineage to the diaspora. I don't really know about any of that. I kind of stay away. but I definitely understand that like we're trying to reclaim what is ours, and I think that is a beautiful thing to try to like understand more about, you know, religion and faith and what we practice before white people said what we can and should practice and how we can. Because like, yes, if you are Christian, like Christianity came to the continent well before white people told them to like bring it to the continent. And Jesus was Black, but I'll keep it there.
No, and that was just to really piggyback off that.
You need to refer them to your cousin's podcast.
Oh yeah, Saved and Woke or Audience of One.
Bruh, but no, I like how embedded Nails. What you said, how embedded that is in us. That the episode where they were having a party at Letty's house and them kids were in the basement playing with the Ouija board. I was like, y'all better cut that out.
Yeah. How did they not
get in trouble? Bruh, I was like, what y'all doing down here with that tool? Like, and dog, to this day, I won't even sit in a room if someone's messing with a Ouija board.
That's why. Hey, that's why my name at the beginning was like, y'all better leave that magic alone. Nah, I don't mess with it.
All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for listening to Pop Cult Parent. We try to have a new episode around every month or so. Find us on all social media at Pop Cult Parent, POPCULTPARENT. Email us at popcultparent@gmail.com. Don't forget to rate us, review, and subscribe. And of course, as always, join the cult.
Peace.
Get out.